So, what we are leaving behind in 2025 and what we're making space for in 2026. This is something that we want to ask all of you. What are you leaving behind in 2025 and what are you making space for in 2026? Nancy and I, in today's training, in today's episode, we are going to be diving into what we're releasing and what we're carrying forward. Now, before we dive into all of what we're going to share today as we approach the new year. We are also approaching new opportunities. And we have a group coaching mastermind called Expert Authority. It is specifically for coaches, consultants, and service professionals. So, lawyer, accountant, insurance agent, insurance brokerage, financial professional, and so on and so on. Any of those people that are looking to leverage LinkedIn from more of a higher scope, but also learn how to strategically scale and grow your business through systems, structure, and getting things organized while having consistent sales. That is exactly what we teach in our intimate group coaching mastermind. It is a year-long program that kicks off at the end of January, early February. And we do have some pre-enrollment VIP spots available. There's only five, two are already spoken for. So if you would like to have a conversation, and there is a discount that comes with signing up early, if you would like to have a conversation and tell us about your business, what you're struggling with, what you need help with, and how our group coaching mastermind, which is hybrid group coaching and one-on-one coaching with myself and Nancy, can help you. If you're watching on social, whether it be Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, just type the word me in the comments and we'll send you our calendar link so you can book a time to talk to us before the pre-enrollment spots close on January 5th, which is a Monday. If you're listening on the podcast, super duper easy. Just head to the description. The link to our calendar is there. Grab a time, and we'd love to talk to you. So, what are we releasing? Well, I mean, it's ladies first, so I'm not going to go first. So, Nance, what are some of the things that we are releasing from 2025 that we do not have room for in 2026?
Oh, well, our number, or actually, no, not our number, our word of the year, right? We've already decided is that we are really focusing on optimization. So, with that being said, right, that is like our big, overarching focus for the upcoming year, optimization. That first thing that we are definitely releasing is over complicating things,
Hmm.
right? Too much stuff, right? I think looking at the big picture, I think there's so many things that we do each and every day, right, that can be really cut back. And I think for me, it's just getting back to basics. And so that first one for me is overcomplication, 100%.
For me, one of the things that I want us to release that we are releasing is inconsistent visibility. Now, that could mean a multitude of things. That could be not showing up in the right way on LinkedIn. So, really continuing to hone in and continue to expand and produce really great content on LinkedIn. Being consistent, I think for myself and Nancy, doing more dual LinkedIn live events. We typically do solo ones, but we found that when we do them together, they're very, very impactful. So releasing the inconsistent visibility and making sure that we do more of that. And also expanding our dual reach. One of the things that really makes Nancy and I special is that, we are married in life and we're married in business. And I think we still need to kind of lean into that a little bit more. Instead of me doing a solo podcast episode on someone else's, it's really Nancy and I showing up together because we are the business together. So for me, doing more of those things and releasing that inconsistent visibility.
Yep, 100%. Now, the other thing that we are definitely going to be releasing is saying yes too often. Okay, so there's a lot of opportunities that pop up. A lot of people saying, "Hey, you want to jump in and help us out with this?" I think it's making sure that we're staying super focused, to our plans and our growth and kind of where we're going. And sometimes, right, we got to say no. So that is another thing that we're releasing.
For me, it's also releasing of trying to be everywhere online. I've been getting better at this. And I would say in thanks to Nancy, because it was about a year and a half ago, the summer of 2024, after traveling to Greenville, South Carolina with my dad to watch him compete in the national bench press competition. I texted Nancy and I said, "Hey, I think I want to do this for myself. Would you support me in going down and having this as, the sport that I dive into for powerlifting?" And she said, "Absolutely." And I kind of thank her for that, because for me, I was still trying to be everywhere in the same way on all the social media platforms. And for me, and I'm using Instagram as an example, I've had a hate-hate relationship with it. I've never loved it. I never felt connected to it, but I've actually fallen more in love with it, because for me, I'm using it for what I want to use it for now, which is showcasing my powerlifting hobby outside of work. I realize that I don't have to be the LinkedIn guy on every single platform. I don't need to be the LinkedIn expert on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook if I don't want to be. So the thought that I have to be everywhere on social media, I'm releasing that, and I'm still going to be focusing all of my time, attention, and energy, not only for myself, but those that we work with, on leveraging LinkedIn to its fullest capabilities moving into 2026.
Absolutely. And then the next thing that we're definitely releasing is just outdated strategies, right? That don't convert. If you guys are doing things again and again and it's not a good use of your time, stop it, right? So a lot of the fine tuning that we do, I always say a great meeting to have every week, every month, even once a quarter, once a year is the stoplight meeting, right? The red, yellow, green. What's going well? What needs work? What do you need to stop doing? And sometimes stop doing is one of the most important ones, because we just got to cut the fat where we can. And so really, really, we're taking a look at some of those things that just don't make sense in our business. Where are we spending time? And, really, really, where could we be using that time more effectively and efficiently? So we're getting rid of those outdated strategies that don't convert.
Final thing that we are releasing is we're releasing working reactively instead of proactively. And now this is something that I feel a lot of people are going to have to release, because when it seems like the sky is falling, we sometimes get overreactive and we go into a certain modality of business where we're scratching and clawing. And if you just take a deep breath and kind of step back, and we've gotten so much better at this, and I always, it always comes up for me whenever we're launching something where I'm like, okay, cart's open. Why aren't people signing up? And we realized after doing it enough times, we have to stop reacting in that overreactive way and being proactive about it. Meaning, let's look at the numbers at the end, which we actually had a really good reflection session after our last launch for Expert Content Society, realizing where the numbers really peaked and where they dipped and what we can do moving forward. Now, moving into what we're carrying forward, we're always carrying forward the wins. And we had, uh, I'll be posting this before the end of the year, but Nancy knows this. I always do a top 10 wins from the year, whether they're personal or professional. And they're always important to carry over. There's so many people that go through the year, you forget about all the minute things that you accomplished that allowed you to have the big wins. So I can rattle off a ton right now, but the one thing that we're going to be carrying over are all the incredible wins from this past year.
Yeah. So, another thing that we are carrying forward 100%, right, is the clarity. Right. So many things have bubbled up. I'm so much clearer around some of the things that we're doing. And, the clarity, and for me, I feel like clarity is such a gift, right? Being able to say confidently, yes, right, this is the messaging, or yes, this is the thing that really led to certain conversions. And, again, I go back to that word optimizing, right? As we shave things down and we know kind of what our forecast is and financially what we're working towards and, the things that are working and the things that aren't, oh man, that clarity is such a gift. So we're definitely going to carry forward, right? That clarity that we gained.
The other thing is the habits that actually supported our growth. And I'm going to highlight just one for myself, and I'm not going to steal Nancy's
Yeah,
thunder, but Nancy put together an incredible system with the help of one of our team members for our affiliate program for the Expert Content Society. And I was given the task of going out and getting affiliates, right? Linking arms with people. And that that habit that our coach, Coach Ron, hey Ron, um, challenged me. He said, I want you to reach out to 100 people and you want to try to get 40 to 50 of them to sign up to be an affiliate, which we accomplished. And it led to two successful launches. So now I have this habit that is instilled in our business model of continuing to nurture the affiliates that are doing great work for themselves within our expert content society community, but also looking for new potential partners to link arms with where we could have win-win scenarios. So for me, it's continuing to bring into the new year, carry forward those same lessons and habits that supported our growth specifically with our community.
absolutely. And the last big thing that I'll share as far as what we're carrying forward is, everything that's really helped make me a better leader, Scott and myself. And it's all those lessons that really have helped us, continue to grow our team, give clarity, clear instructions to our team, make sure that everyone is on board on the same page. And, as we've built, new and different things, in the prior year, right? Those lessons, just being involved in that whole process and being able to trust my team and things like that. I just feel like that those are such important things that, we're going to carry over in the year ahead as we focus on growth and retention and all these other things. So I just think that that's a really important one.
Oh, 100.
Now, yeah, 100%, right? And so, what we're going to be making space for, meaning here's some things that we want to open the door, right? We want to like let come in our way. Those are the things that we're going to share now. And the first one is just continuing to strengthen and put amazing content out there that strengthens our authority, right? Sharing what we know, the results. Like, I mean, if you guys could see, right, one of the best things, that really comes with being an entrepreneur and being a coach and consultant is getting to hear the wins of our clients. And when I hear a message, from a client, oh my gosh, I picked up that client, that I've been following for some time now, oh, I just picked up that, that client that I needed to hit my goal of, 10. Oh, I'm at capacity. I can't take
Yep.
on any more clients, right? Even seeing in our expert content society, all these people who are saying, like, I've never posted consistently on LinkedIn, and now I have everything posted and scheduled for December, and I can relax. Those types of things really, really fuel us. And so, when I say stronger authority, it's making sure that we put that out there, that people understand, we've done the do, we help people and, there's real results that come from, the things that you do. So stronger authority. And like we said before, continuing to get ourselves out there in different ways.
And we know what we're doing at this point, so we know that we're experts in the space that we're in. So the other thing that, what we're making space for is clearer messaging. And I think this is actually coming from the fact that Nancy and I have lofty goals in 2026. Not only do we want to continue to grow and expand our group coaching mastermind, but our LinkedIn content creation community, the Expert Content Society, we want to blow the doors off it in 2026. And that means we have to get really, really clear with our messaging, not just on landing or sales pages. That means email needs to be clear. Our sales funnel needs to be locked tight. And even the content that we create on LinkedIn showcasing our skill set and educating and informing people on the benefits of being a part of something like the Expert Content Society. It has to be clear. And that is what we're making space for. But also having better systems. And I kind of alluded to it, full transparency and honesty. Nancy and I have never, ever had a well-oiled sales funnel in place in our business. It's the one thing that it's not that we pushed it to the side. We just didn't create the space and time for it, but we actually did now because we know when we have a proper sales funnel in place that is taking the right people on the right journey and ascend them to where we want them to go, which is the Expert Content Society, we know that we'll have consistent growth throughout the year. So making sure not only that we have clear messaging, but we have better systems in place to support our scalability and our business growth.
Yep, absolutely. So, those are really super important. I think the other thing, and this has been, guys, full transparency on my mind a lot lately, is just like higher standards, right? We've got to stop kind of coasting, being lax about things. We've got to be on top of like, if there's a client support question or something that needs to be handled, right? We need to continue to raise our expectations and have higher standards, right, around those things getting answered, around trusting the team, right, to help and solve those problems.
Yeah.
It's making sure that we're setting higher standards for ourselves, right? So if we're going to show up on a call or if we're answering questions, we're going to know our stuff. Right. So it's making sure that we're continuing to be knowledgeable and, again, raising the bar in so many ways. The other thing is we also need to make sure, and this is separate, right, is we are really, really attracting and working with aligned clients, right? People who are a good fit for the different programs and things that we have, right? We've got, I would say we've got a really good mix of, ways that we work with people. We've got our, expert content society, which is really anyone who's a service professional, wants to build their personal brand out there. We do have expert foundations, which we're not going to be really talking about or launching until later next year. But, that is bootstrapping ground zero, starting your business from A to Z. And then we've got our expert authority mastermind program, which is for people who are already, have the business, they're ready to grow and scale, and they just need, obviously to, start putting some processes in place for that, right? So the thing is we want clients that are willing to do the work. We want clients that are coachable. We want clients that are going to show up and they are going to be committed. I am so done, right, with working with people who say all the right things,
The, ti- the
yep, I'm in, I'm
You can
good,
call
I'm,
it out. It's the
whatever.
tire kickers, Nance. No more
The
tire.
tire kickers. And here's the thing, and then they just disappear.
Right.
And here's the thing, and I know, and obviously over the years, I know that this is a whole thing, right? There's a whole community of people that just don't commit and they don't do the do,
They just
okay?
kick tires.
And again, I know there's multiple factors that go into that, but what we need to continue to, obviously be able to provide value, be able to get the results, and obviously be able to get clients to the finish line is the clients that are going to do the do and they are committed. They're not just interested, in maybe growing their business.
And the final two things that we are creating space for, first is sustainable consistency. We know to create the compound effect in our business, we have to sustain consistency on all levels. Communication to our team, communication to our community members, communication to our clients, just the way that we show up on LinkedIn, making sure, and I'm going to use a prime example. I had a bonus call with it was a bonus that we were adding into people signing up for one of our programs, and there was a ball dropped, and there was a lack of communication, letting people know that it was going on, and there should have been communication, and a few people showed up, which I was happy about, but we have to be more consistent with that, and we have to sustain that because, again, going back to what Nancy said about higher standards, we have to raise the level of standards because it's an expectation for us, but also we want to show the people that we work with what higher standards look like. And finally, this is the biggest one, is predictable revenue. It's called MRR, monthly reoccurring revenue. That is our number one focus. if you really want to grow and scale a business, you need to be able to, at best, predict what revenue is coming in each month for yourselves, for your team, for marketing, for any other budget that you have. And if you don't have predictable revenue, you can't predict where you want your business to go. You are literally going to be just patchworking it. You're going to be throwing darts at a dartboard with your eyes closed. And that's why Nancy and I always talk about making sure that you're setting up a business for growth, but also scalability through predictable revenue. And we just wanted to kind of finish this training in this episode with some questions to reflect on, not just for ourselves, but for all of you that are listening and watching. And if something has resonated, as far as what you're releasing, what you're carrying forward, and what you're creating space for, we actually want to hear about it. So if you're watching on social, just drop it in the comments. Like, I'm releasing this, I'm carrying forward this, and I'm making space for this. Like, we want to know, like, what are you releasing? What are you carrying forward? And what are you making space for? And if you're listening on the podcast, you can DM us on Instagram. Our handle is at the time to grow, underscore the time to grow, or one of our personal ones. You can find us on there. Like, we want to hear from you. So, some questions to think about, and I'm going to cover the first two, and then I'm going to turn it to Nancy. Is what am I no longer available for? All right. This is a big one for me because this is something that I've been struggling with. And as much as I love one-to-one coaching and consulting, I'm not going to make myself as available as I've made myself over the last couple of years. I will still be taking one-to-one clients when appropriate, when it's the right fit, and when I have the capacity for it. But I still have to learn to say no to certain situations. And I shared a win from with Nancy the other day that someone had booked a call and they were not a good fit for anything that we did. And, I said no to it. And the old me would have convinced myself, oh, we can make this work. So think about what you're no longer going to be available for to create space for the things that you want to make time for. And also, what identity am I stepping into? Now, that could mean a slew of different things, but in saying that and turning it inward on me, the identity that I'm stepping into is being more than just a LinkedIn educator. It's stepping into the identity that Nancy and I know exactly how to grow and scale a business. And if people do follow the suggestions and the steps that we give them, they will be wildly, wildly successful. And I'm going to own that. Nancy's going to own that. We're going to own that. And we want anyone that is listening or watching to also own that as well.
Yep. So, the other things that we want you to think about is be honest, right? What support do you need in the upcoming year, right? We are not super heroes. Okay. So if you guys are at a place in your business where you are bringing in income, right? You are closing sales, you are able to set aside, right, and actually budget to have a team help support you, do it. Okay. Start getting some of this stuff off your plate. The other thing, too, is guys, AI can be incredibly helpful to streamline some things in your business. What's taking a long time, right? I want you guys all evaluating where you need support or where you've got those little like wrenches in the system, those little kinks in the hose. Well, identify, right? Is it going to be an AI tool or streamlined process that's going to help make that easier or help? Or is it going to be additional support, through a team member who can jump in and actually help take some of those things off your plate? The other things I want you to ask, right, is what will matter most in my business in 2026? Okay, let's get clear on your vision, right? What's going to matter most? Is this a huge build year for you? Meaning, are you building out services and things that you're really going to ramp up and focus on? Last year was a build year for us, right? We still increased by 20%, as usual, but it was a huge build year because we built our community, Expert Content Society. This is going to be a huge growth year. So what's going to matter most in your business in 2026, right? Put that flag, in the ground and solidify what your intentions are. And then the last question that we're just going to leave you with, and again, this is kind of like something to think about is, what are you making space for in this year ahead? I'm making space for peace, ease, more time right outside of my business. In fact, I'd love to do some in-person things. I've been really, really excited to kind of get out there, all kinds of stuff. So what are you making space for in your business? I know, Scott mentioned our affiliate partners have been amazing. Let's make more amazing partners, right? I want to make space for plenty, plenty of people who, again, we can support each other in business.
Yep.
And
Well,
that's it.
yeah, and these are things that we want you to think about. I know this was a lengthy training and a lengthy episode, but in good reason because we are rolling into the new year very, very soon. So let us know in the comments if you're watching on social, what are you leaving behind? What are you carrying forward? What are you making space for? And, the questions to reflect upon, which one impacted you most? Like we want to hear from you. Lastly, again, if you are interested in learning more about our expert authority group coaching mastermind and you would like to talk about one of the pre-enrollment spots, all you have to do is type the word me in the comments and we will send you our calendar link. And if you're listening on the podcast, just head to the description. The link to our calendar will be right there. Find a time because we are closing the pre-enrollment spots either when we hit our first five, which we're only a couple spots away from that, or January 5th, 2026, whichever comes first. So, everyone, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode and today's training. Love and gratitude, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.